Welcome to today's WBR Digital webinar, sponsored by ServiceMax. Thanks to everyone for joining us today to discuss 7 ways service culture can influence service revenue. ServiceMax has a great topic for you today. We have a lot of content to cover, but want to ensure all your questions get answered. So the presenter will speak for about 35 minutes, then we'll take about 10-15 minutes at the end to answer questions. Please feel free to submit your questions throughout the presentation using the questions panel online. We will be recording today's presentation and will send you the final video link and slide deck, and it will also be made available on the ServiceMax website and the Field Service USA website. So without further delay, I'd like to introduce you to Vidya Chidaga, Director of Product Marketing at ServiceMax, who is a results-driven product and channel marketing professional with 15 years of experience in marketing and management. Over to you, Vidya.
Thanks, Naomi. Welcome, everyone. My name is Vidya Chidaga. I'm the Director of Product Marketing here at ServiceMax, and I'm super excited to host and be the presenter for this session today. The topic is 7 ways service culture can influence service revenue. And as Naomi mentioned, I have a lot of content. I wanted to start off by talking about a very famous quote from Jack Welch when he was the CEO at GE. Our job is to sell more than just a box. We are in the services business to expand our pie. This is perfect segue into the discussion that we have for today. And I want to talk about how service organizations can increase their revenue and margin potentially by adopting a very rich and successful service culture. So the agenda is kind of split into 2 major sections. The bulk of it is the first section where I'm going to talk about the what and the why. You know, what is culture? What is field service culture? The 7 ways you can adopt rich service culture in your organization today to see a strong impact on service revenue. And finally, the second segment is to talk about how you can potentially do that with what's available in the marketplace today. So what is culture, really? I mean, it's a loaded term, and I tried, I Googled a lot, I went through various dictionaries, and I came up with this simple term to try and explain what culture is. Culture is what people think and how they act. So when a group of people with common motive, such as service, providing service, and delivering service, come together and embrace patterns of behavior and belief, that's culture. That's service culture for us. So I tried to put together a slide that would kind of depict how service culture would drive service revenue, right? Now, service culture, as we said, is about shaping a culture that embraces the entire service organization and maybe even beyond its boundaries. And it will ensure that the service engagement is consistent, it will permeate the organization, and be sustained over time. First off, obviously, the first step is for you guys to identify what your corporate service business is and how it potentially differs from the age-old product-related business. And obviously, try and figure out what factors are key to the success in your organization. The second aspect is to try and see how the service culture will help you differentiate the service that you provide and thereby bring about brand differentiation for your organization. When we talk about brand differentiation and service differentiation, obviously we know that you're going to improve customer experience and service innovation that will drive up the top line. And you'll bring about operational excellence and day-to-day planning that will shoot up your bottom line. Now, top line improvement, bottom line improvement, that's going to translate into increased service revenue and potentially improving your margins too. That was very profound what I just said, you know, service culture driving service revenue. So let's look at the 7 ways we can build a rich service culture, and I'm going to walk you through these 7 in detail for the rest of for the most of this hour. These are the 7 ways you can change, you can extend, you can evolve your organization, incorporate some of these changes into your organization, and that will help you enrich the service behavior in your company. Now keep in mind, as much as I'm presenting this in isolation, one way after another, it's a combination of these ways that make the most sense. So let's start with the very first one. And this, I think, is super critical, super important to sell proactively. There has to be this fundamental shift in believing that the tie and suit only belongs to the sales memo. It does not. Service as a sales function is catching up, and you can always leverage being the trusted advisor. Think about it. You're already there at the point of service, at the customer site, as a field technician representing your brand and your company. Leverage it. Act and think like a salesperson. And guess what? Technicians are the best sales guys because they have conquered the biggest battle. They know the product inside out. That's the biggest challenge for most of the sales guys anyway. So the service guys just need the extra push, the right context, the right aid, the correct support to transform a service visit into an effective after-service sales. You know, note the play on words. It's after-service sales. It's not after-sales service. Now the life cycle continues, you know. It does not stop with service, but it goes on and then you're selling. So you are contributing to increasing the revenues in your organization. Initiating contact throughout. I think this is so critical. Don't wait for your customer to call you. Get in touch with them throughout. Be proactive. Initiate the conversation with your customer throughout the life cycle of the product. Benchmarking studies have shown that selling proactively can increase service revenues by up to 50%. And that is huge. Well, it says 25 to 50%, and that's why I said up to 50%. But that's a big number. Offer standard service products. Have a price list for your service products. That's a cultural shift. Companies are so focused on sales that strategizing and building service products is usually not on the agenda. Incorporate that into your culture. The next item, which is shifting of the hiring strategy, is a big ticket item. Hiring profiles are changing in the recent past to have selling skills over technical skills, thereby developing a sales-oriented culture. This particular line item might be the most challenging because it addresses the self-perception of service technicians, many of whom resent selling proactively and insist that they are technical experts, not salespeople. Of course, this mentality is hard to change. That's a given. And that's why you need to take baby steps and try to incorporate that into your culture. And the next item builds into that. At the highest level, if management is going to incentivize selling, that's showing that you're serious about taking it all the way and not just stopping at training and saying, okay, service guys, you got to sell now. It doesn't stop there. You are going to give them, you're going to put them on a sales quota, say a service sales quota, and then say, okay, this is what you would get when there's additional revenue coming in through you. By selling proactively, here are some of the outcomes. Obviously, there's the upsell and the cross-sell. We spoke about how the service guy is out there touching your customer, presenting your brand, every opportunity he gets to improve renewals and talk to the customer about how a particular customer is maybe going out of warranty on a particular product, maybe the contract is expiring in the next 6 months. So he can very easily increase the value of off-contract service revenue. Obviously, the revenue you haven't planned for, it's not in contract, it's off-contract. This in entirety will transform your service organization into a profit center, and that is key. The second, well, obviously, we're very passionate about technology advancements. Field service has been ignored by new technologies for the longest time now. The waiting phase is over. Technology has proven itself. We know that it's scalable. There's performance indicators that show that this is the right approach. People have adopted these devices into their lives. both business and life. These two aspects have gotten so interconnected that it's just a folly to try and keep it isolated. Happy workers are productive workers. And productive workers don't weigh down on your bottom line. They bring it up. Give them access. Give them liberty. Give them Angry Birds and give them Fruit Ninja. Studies have shown that it will not be abused and it will just drive up the productivity. Technicians who now have photos of their kids and videos of their pets have additional motivation to take care of this smart device that they have in hand. So give it to them. And then the next point is younger workforce. I mean, think about the adoption of these newer tablets and newer smart devices. It's going to be easier because the average age of technician is going down. And why adopt smartphones? The list is long. I just picked the top 3. There's less upfront investment. You know, these devices are, they're funny, they're smart, they're sexy, they're cool to be seen with, they're extremely likable. There's, of course, the Zen-like experience you have with them, with all the cool features that they come with. The last one is close to my heart, which is the brand image. I had a technician in to fix the plumbing the other day, and he just pulled out his iPad and went to town with it, and I was super impressed. He took my signature on the iPad right there. It was a great experience for me and my family, and we were just thrilled that a field technician in a white van was able to present that kind of the image to us of the company he represented. So you're delighting customers with sophisticated tools and better customer experience. Needless to say that this is going to go a long way and it's going to reflect on your top and bottom line. So technology delights customers, and what delight? I don't want to go through the entire list, but just to call out a few things. The tolerance for this 4 to 8 hour window is evaporating. You need to keep the appointment times that you've committed to your customers. That's the expected norm these days. You get to exceed or you get to meet or even exceed SLA times when you have real-time access via smart devices. To be able to have fast resolution and the fact that the technician does not have to return to fix the problem is super critical. And as I said, to have signature approvals and rapid billing and timestamps right there, it ensures that I am billed for actually what I was serviced. Collaboration in the field is a critical item. And I want to talk about crowdsourcing knowledge. You know, crowdsourcing is distributed problem solving. The problems are broadcasted in search of solutions, and the crowd submits the solution. Now, crowdsourcing need not be noisy at all, contrary to what it's thought of. It's just the opposite, actually. You are encouraging the people, the crowd you're talking about is in your network. So you can adopt social means to connect and work. Encourage and empower your service managers, your dispatchers, your technicians to adopt social means of working together. You can, of course, establish guidelines and streamline processes in order to make these social tools work. An example is, let's say Jake, a technician in your organization, is at the customer side fixing a large piece of mission-critical healthcare equipment. Right? He encounters a problem he's never seen before. Now, Jake crowdsources to see if anyone in his network, so remember, there's a difference now. It's not just like, woohoo, big crowd, but in your network to see if anyone knows a solution to this problem. Within minutes, the key engineer responds with a detailed description of how to fix it. Jake just needed that. Traditionally, the company, or you in that case, would have had to send back another technician the second day to fix the same problem. Now, Jake has not only successfully avoided a second-time truck roll, he's provided the fix the first time around, but the customer is also super happy that he doesn't have to come back again and service this particular equipment. Jake obviously gets a 10 in his customer service rating. So get help in the field. You don't have to be ashamed to ask for help. That's a cultural change you have to infiltrate into your organization. the person who's going out there is not the lone wolf. He does not have to be the perfect technician. He does not have to remember and memorize manuals. He can be out there and he can reach out for help when he needs it. Training curves are going to be shorter. You can hit the road running. You can ask for help, and it's okay to ask for help in the field. That's the cultural change. Education. The two bullets under education are different. The first is internal facing. When new hires come on board, when you've introduced this new application with social collaboration capabilities, have a module in your training section that says, okay, this is how you embrace social technology to collaborate in the field. The second aspect is, of course, the on-the-job training, right? If you are stuck, pull up your smart device, try and figure out if something has been posted by the smart experts in your organization already, or if you can post something and get answers to the question already. So you're building a workforce that can think and collaborate and act in a variety of service situations. Obviously, the metric and outcome is it improves the bottom line. There's faster reaction time, faster response time. You're increasing the first-time fix rate. You're reducing the repair time. Obvious. I mean, think about it. The guy doesn't have to memorize everything. He can just pull up something from the knowledge base, look at it, see how it's done, do it right the first time around, and increase the jobs that he would perform on a daily basis, right? All this ties in so well together, and you're cutting costs, you're improving the bottom line, increasing revenue. So communicating inside and out. I spent a lot of time on this because it's so difficult to try and get the message across when you want to talk about consistent service and how communication plays a role here. From my personal experience, my husband and I believe that 99% of all the problems anywhere arise from communication issues. That's maybe not true in your service organization. I might have stretched it a little bit, but it's important. Make a cultural shift to communicate everything to your organization, be it top-down, peer-to-peer, inside to outside, whatever. And remember, this has to happen in a timely fashion. Give it a personal touch. Make it very open. Bring transparency and develop less politics and build less politics into your organization. Transparency within the leadership team, across the board, and it's very easy to see it trickle down into your service organization. If you see it happening in the top, there is transparency that's going to exist all the way to the technician, all the way to the frontline employee. For example, let's say you have a service manager who uses a dashboard to get the high-level view of all the activities in her team. She's now able to communicate with when the service cases are opened and closed. She can see where the technicians are getting stuck. She can maybe even collaborate with them. She can handle escalations, jump on certain service activities. Other teams outside her organization are able to see, aha, this is what service is doing. This is what they're up to. This is the product that they upsold. This is the service contract that they got renewed for us. This is a marquee customer, and this is how the entire organization, including service, is giving all the attention that this VIP customer needs. This particular service manager could give kudos to a technician when a particular job is successfully completed. An executive can be aware of all the service activities in real time and doesn't have to wait for a quarterly business review to get insight into the health of the service business. Now, externally, it's no different. Keep your customer in the loop at all times on all activities, maybe through a customer portal. You know, the 4 to 8 hour window is shrinking, as we saw. You know, he needs to sign off on invoices at the point of sale and not wonder when an invoice reaches him through snail mail after 4 weeks as to what that particular line item means or meant. Similarly, partners can now represent your brand. Remember, brand differentiation, service revenue, they all tie in together. Your partner, you can keep an eye on the partner and see through a partner portal. You can educate him. You can make sure that he has access to the right documentation on your products and parts and so on. And remember, it's anytime, everywhere, not just anywhere, everywhere. Make it second nature. Put it into your culture such that everyone speaks the same service language and thus deliver consistent service experience. Faster time to respond, increasing customer retention, improving resolution time, and increasing the number of tasks completed per technician is just a few of the things I can call out with respect to communication. It is that key. I think it's time for a water break. And I'm here. So motivate through appreciation. This is the softest of the 5 ways, if I may say so. And aligning service departments around social goals and real-time recognition, you're freeing them from the very restrictive top-down, once a year, once a quarter assessment and goal setting, and you're integrating it into everyday work life. Provide your organization with a tool used by all departments. It could be the service team and the sales team, the service marketing departments, human resources. It aligns people with company goals. If your CEO says improve customer experience, you can bring it down to your organization goals as your team goals and then motivate people to do their job better. And remember, publish these goals so that others in and out of the team know what you as a person or as an individual or as a team are working towards. Let's say at the start of the quarter, the VP of Service announces on this particular tool to everyone that the goal for the quarter is to increase off-service service contracts by 10% and to improve customer sat by 15%. Now, people in the department know that if they do this, it's going to weave into their compensation, it's going to weave into their remuneration, and it's important because that motivates people to perform better. Now, customer feedback. I'm just hoping all of you listening on this call are already soliciting for customer feedback. That's given. Now, assuming you get customer feedback, what do you do with this customer evaluation? You can take it and better your product, better your services, that's given. But here we're talking about the soft, like the soft social recognition. So a few things you can do is, let's say a technician overperforms. He gets a 10 or he gets 10 outstanding customer evaluations, or maybe he's able to cover 1 extra job for 7 days in a month, or was able to bring in $100,000 in off-contract service contracts. You can appreciate that by maybe giving him an on-the-spot bonus. You can socially appreciate him. Obviously, compensating monetarily is one thing with bonus prices and recognition. Other ways to do it and boost intellectual satisfaction is to give like badges or kudos or stars, print a letter of appreciation, a certificate of recognition, post it on this social tool, let everyone see that. That is something which costs very less but builds alter egos and helps people perform better. So the next thing is to hire for talent, and skills can be taught, which is, take that with a grain of salt. Obviously, you need to know, the technician who gets hired needs to know the bare minimum. But remember that skills can be taught because now you have the right communication, you have the right social tools, you are collaborating in the field, you have the smart devices, you have all that working for you. So skills can be taught on the go. And you can categorize, there's this high-tech company that categorizes service technicians based on their sales dispositions. Like, for example, people with high affinity towards sales are specially trained and given primary responsibility for service sales processes, and the others are not. So that's one way to kind of categorize them and do something substantial. Obviously, it impacts the top line because now you are improving the customer stickiness. You're improving the service employee retention. You are getting more jobs done per technician. Remember, happy technicians translate to better service, and better service translates to happy customers. So that absolutely impacts the top line. Number 6 is working with cross-functional teams. Companies have great manpower in different departments, but these teams are fragmented. Operations is doing one thing, marketing is messaging another way to the market, sales is doing a different thing, HR is looking in a different direction. Bring them all together and do some serious thinking on the holistic picture. For example, how do we serve customers? What experience do we want them to have? And what each of the teams need to do to pull this off. You know, having these fundamental aspects makes sure that you're representing the same consistent brand identity across the board for your customers. When you come together, you do two things, two important things. You can evaluate historical processes. You can say, hello, Mr. Sales, why are you doing it that way again? Oh, well, we've always done it that way. No, but why? We don't know. It just works. I need it for that particular KPI. I need it for that particular report, and I need to do that. Evaluate it, re-evaluate it, and find out if it truly makes sense to do it that way. Discuss the impact of various segments of interaction with the customer. It's a mouthful, but I came up with this. Segments of interaction with the customer is you're touching the customer because you are in sales. You're touching the customer because you're in support. Someone else is touching because they are in service. Every point, everyone in the organization gets a chance to touch the customer. You hire the smart people, you market the product, you sell the product, you service the product, you support the product. This creates a perfect platform for historical processes to be evaluated and find out what the impact of this interaction is. It's so critical to have a service perspective in an R&D process. There's a company, and it's this huge aircraft company, that had a little part that was most often serviced tucked away all the way inside the aircraft. And the service technician would every time have to pull out 7 parts to get to this 8th part or the 7th part. Now, it was just obvious that the R&D department did not have service in mind when they built that. Second iteration, third iteration of the product, this was circled back to R&D, they changed it, and now this part is all the way in front because you know that it needs to be serviced very often. In most industrial companies that have come and spoken to us, we've seen that R&D takes place without the input from the service businesses, and sometimes it's even without considering the serviceability. It's very important that we keep that in mind. So to ensure the tight integration of after-sales services with R&D, think about assigning representatives. You know, think about assigning a service representative to an R&D task force for each new product. I mean, we do that internally here at ServiceMax. Our services team and our R&D department talk to each other once a fortnight, just so there's, you know, what have you learned? What am I doing? Let's tag team. There's this buddy system. A group of engineers are assigned a particular service person. So this service person represents the service team. Sometimes an engineer gets to follow me around when the service guy goes out and talks to the customer. All these things help in not just improving the service volume, but protecting your installed base, because you're now talking the same language and are able to service your customer consistently. It improves resolution time, and it improves the number of tasks completed per technician, because this little part that was tucked away is now all the way in the front. The last way to improve your culture is service as a business. This is extremely critical. This is where you become a company within your company. Your service organization is an entity within your bigger organization. Treat it special with its own profit and loss statement and headcount and analysis and metrics. Be a businessman. Be an entrepreneur at heart. When you have to make the decision as to how best to set up your service organization, you have 3 options. You can either establish it as a profit center, you can integrate it with new business development, or set it up as a cost center. And I urge you to go with the first option. Establish it as a profit center, because the service cultural shift that will bring about the increased revenue it can be shown, it can be presented in your P&L statement if you have it as a profit center. Define your own service processes and roles and responsibilities and raise awareness of the value of the service throughout the company. When you have it as a separate entity that's bringing profits and revenues and improved margins to the organization, you will be taken seriously. And that is key to service success. Adoption and recognition by other teams outside of service that you are bringing this kind of business to the corporation. Second is, don't give away free service. Good service doesn't mean free service. You know what's good for your business. You know, we have customers who come up to us and say, we give away free service all the time. Our support reps can't always get correct information on customers' entitlements. Yeah, you need to make sure that you empower your organization with the right tools, the right application, the right solution that can present when a particular quote is being pulled from a wrong price list, or when a customer is not entitled to a particular service, versus letting the service guy out there in the field looking at this 80-year-old lady who's smiling at him and saying, can you also please fix the other thing for me? And it's okay to say no, because good service means other things and does not mean free service. Now, service factory is a loaded term again, but it's very straightforward. It's very simple. Define and standardize your processes and your business measures. It's important to set up a factory-like environment so that anything that gets spewed out of it is following the same norm. That's very important. The next thing is pretty interesting. Don't stop at looking at the revenue that you've gotten just from services as a whole. Try and track the profitability of the services by customer. This will tell you a lot. This kind of goes into KPIs and metrics and measurements, but try and see what segment of your customer base is doing how, and build that into your culture to be able to have the possibility and the tools to go and drill into that kind of information by customer segment, by geography, by industry, and not just saying, okay, here's this one number that says this is how my service organization did. Go into further details, because that kind of analysis will give you the health of different segments of your customers, or maybe even that one customer, for example. That leads perfectly into the last line item here, which is service intelligence. Service intelligence does not have to stop with reports and dashboards and KPIs. It goes beyond that. It's about what kind of service insights can you grab out of all the data and information that you have accumulated using these smart devices, using collaboration and communication and motivation, everything that we spoke about so far. How can we best utilize it and bring it to the forefront so it becomes intelligent data and not just raw data? That is another way to look at it. And this impacts the top line. You're getting a 360-degree view of the customer. We spoke about how you're now at your own P&L. Remember, you have your own P&L statement. So you're getting the 360-degree view of the customer. You've standardized processes, which means whether it's the sales team or the marketing team that may get an opportunity to present your services is still going to do it consistently. You're enabling auto renewals maybe with the solution you have. You're bringing down the overall downtime of the customer. And obviously, upsell and cross-sell is key, because it's your business. You're an entrepreneur. You're going to try and sell stuff because you're running this as a business in itself. So these are the 7 ways we spoke about that service culture can aid and better service revenue, improve service margins. Just to recap, you have to sell proactively. You have to go and embrace the advancements of technology and social that we have out there. You have to encourage employees to collaborate, not just in the office, but also in the field. Think about communication. Communication is key. Look at it as this whole spectrum, inside, out, peer-to-peer, up to top to down, even down to up, right? Just communicate. Motivate through appreciation. Never undermine the potential of simple appreciation. And then the icing on the cake is it's done socially. It's done where your peers and people you respect and work with every day get to see. Work with cross-functional teams. Don't exist in isolation. There are smart teams such as your team, which is out there. If you don't collaborate, at some point your customer is going to see a different face of the brand, and then it doesn't work together. And finally, service as a business. It's your business to go out and win, and it's your business to go out and make money. So your service revenue is dependent on you thinking of your business, of your service entity as a business in itself. This brings me to the next section, and I just want to breeze through this. There are tons of solutions out there that will help you transform the service life cycle to achieve value-driven outcomes, and ServiceMax is one of them. Think about a solution that is based on mobile and social and cloud computing. And I just want to just quickly talk about how this maps into the 7 ways we spoke about. Think of a solution that is complete. You want one throat to choke. You don't want to be going to different vendors for different things. We spoke about embracing technology advancements. Go to a provider who has mobile technology, who's got cutting-edge technology using mobile advancements. Someone who's got social capacity so you can have collaboration in the field. Context is important. Remember, we spoke about how you want to know whether a customer is entitled to a particular service, or you'll be giving away free service, thereby affecting your service as a business. Think about scheduling. Getting the right technician out there to do the right job, minimizing the white space on the calendar is key, because that would let you maybe squeeze in one extra job for that technician to be able to do the job, and that would improve your bottom line. Parts, well, you need to go with a company that can track them no matter where you stash them. Think about depot repair. Think about reverse logistics. What happens when a company has a strategy beyond field service? What happens if you want to repair stuff, refurbish stuff, and look at returns and so on. Social aspect is so key. I know, communication is key, collaboration is key, motivating and appreciating on the social platform is so important. It is now, you have to weave it into the sweater of your organization, and that's super critical. Portals, again, to have the same face of the brand, to make sure that you're communicating with the customers, with the partners, knowing what they're doing, what they're asking for, what escalations are out there. You need access to information at all points in time. And think about going with a vendor that has, bring your own device to work kind of strategy. Someone who is saying, irrespective of whether you have an iPad or this smartphone or that smartphone, whether you have a laptop, whatever you have, we will encourage you to bring your own device to work. That is critical, because you're investing in something today, but you want to make sure that it's future-proofed for wherever the technology is going tomorrow. iPad is cool. I have seen how companies have used some of the built-in features from Apple, like Apple FaceTime, and they very easily can just turn the iPad around, show the problem, show the broken faucet, show the mission-critical healthcare equipment, and say, buddy, I have never seen this before. How the hell do I fix this? Look at such solutions too, because that's going to help you. Smartphones, again, this is something that is super critical. People have them today, and this would show you how you can maybe manage both your business and life together on the same device. Remote access is something you should consider when you go into a mobile solution. Not everywhere would you have internet access, and that's key to think about. you're behind the firewall, you're in an airport, your technician is not given access in a financial institution or in a banking system or in a healthcare organization, and you need to still be able to capture all the data. You still need to be completing work orders. So think about that. And this is social. Now, if anyone out there is wondering, why would I do social? I mean, it's good to collaborate. Maybe I'll just send an email. Well, you got to embrace what customers are expecting, where adoption is happening, and where adoption is planned. And your competitors are doing it. So they're using social media they are bringing social media into field service, and they are able to delight their customers by doing that. It's not about having Facebook. Having social technology in an enterprise is different from putting up status updates on Facebook. It's completely different. This is hardcore. This is revenue related. This is margins related. This is about delighting your customers. So empowering your field technician with the tribal knowledge as he goes out there is super key. And you can improve first-time fix rates with this collaboration. And we've spoken about that in our 7 ways. Again, delight your customers. You don't have to be the expert. You can troubleshoot in real time. You can be the executive. You can follow people, follow cases, follow products, opportunities, whatever. There's this real-time streaming of your business updates as you go about your day. Product remote device monitoring is also something you may want to consider. This is coming. This is catching a lot of heat, and this is something that you may want to think about if you're venturing into such a technology, such a solution. And finally, cloud-based. I mean, why? I think it's just an insult to my listeners to try and pitch on why cloud computing. It's been out there for a really long time now. It's proven, it's trusted, it's secure, and you know that when it comes to a field service, although we've been late to the game a little bit with respect to field service adopting cloud computing technology, customers and companies are embracing it with both arms now because it's stood the test of time. Okay, wow, I think I've been speaking for quite a while now. It's time to gather all your questions and see what I can answer, and I just urge you to go ahead and ask me questions on GoToWebinar. And in the meantime, here's our link to go ahead and try out such a technology, such a solution, such a tool that will help you gain the 7 ways of improving service culture. And again, these are the 7 ways. I'm hoping to keep the screen on when I take the questions. And I think it's the right time to introduce Nicole Sanders, who is here with me, and she's going to facilitate the Q&A section.
Okay, good. Thanks, Vidya. Great content, lots of information there. As she mentioned, go ahead and use the online panel to ask questions, and we have a couple that have come in during the presentation. So I'll start with the first one. Can you provide suggestions on how to get field techs who have not been responsible for sales to start selling?
Sure. And it goes back to the very first thing I said about selling proactively. It is a challenge. It's not in a technician's DNA to go and sell proactively, but by knowing that the company encourages this, the salesman in a person comes out naturally. You know, if you explain to the technician that he can be the trusted advisor because he is there, the customer trusts him, the customer is asking him for suggestions, the customer is not expecting him to sell. So even when the technician sells, it doesn't seem like he's selling, it seems like he's giving advice. And don't think you're manipulating anybody to buying stuff by doing things like this. It's just a natural extension of service.
Okay, great. Another question is, you mentioned dashboards early in the presentation. Does ServiceMax have dashboards?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, ServiceMax has an entire strategy around service intelligence. Today we have KPIs and we have reports and dashboards, for service managers, for executives, for dispatchers to run and consume the information that's gathered throughout the service life cycle. So we have quite some intriguing dashboards, and to be able to add other dashboards and build your own reports is pretty straightforward too. And given that we're built on the Force.com platform from Salesforce.com, it just makes it very easy because we have the framework to build such reports.
Okay, great. There's a question here, and actually a follow-on, that talks about connectivity. So since we're cloud-based, how do you handle where you don't have internet connectivity?
Okay. So the way we handle it is you go offline, you still have access to the knowledge base, to the documents that's stored on your smart device or your laptop, and you can still go about business as usual. You can fill in the work order, you can create a work order, you can get all the details, you can fill in all the fields, so that the solution can makes you avails you the fields and the application even in the offline mode. And once you go online, it gets queued up. When it was offline, it got queued up, and then it goes through the queue and gets pushed out once you're online.
Okay, very good. Sorry, just looking through the list of questions here. Oh, there was another one about the same thing for connectivity.
Okay. Maybe we can take the one on integration. So the question is, there are tons of ERP systems out there, and how do you propose pulling in information from the existing ERP systems into the front office? That's an interesting question. Integration is something that always comes up, irrespective of what solution, what genre, what application. And we don't exist in isolation, obviously, but ServiceMax is built on the Force.com platform, which means we are natively integrated with Salesforce.com CRM. But if it's another kind of application, another ERP like Oracle or SAP, then we have our customers who have successfully integrated to the back office to pull financial information. Contracts is needed by financial applications just as much as it's needed by field service technicians. So we integrate applications so that the relevant information in the back office, invoicing, ordering, pricing, price books, anything that's existing in the back end gets bi-directionally synchronized real time with the field service solution with ServiceMax. So that is something that we've done, and we work with a whole range of vendors, although we've partnered with a couple of them based on the success we've seen in the market.
Okay, very good. It looks like we have one more question we'll take here. And also there was a question about getting access to the presentation, and as an attendee, you will be sent a link to the deck and to the video archive as well. So the last question before we wrap up is about getting feedback on service partners. Let's see, how do you get feedback on how well your service partners are doing when you may not have the end user information? This person deals with Latin America and having service provided in the U.S., but service is critical due to our brand.
Right. I could take it in two ways. One thing is the partner portal access depends on you. You can say, all my partners will get to see X, Y, and Z from my application. That's one aspect. And all that is available on a partner portal. You can see if the partner has actually gone and serviced a particular customer, how long he took. You can run reports on that. There's a dashboard that will show you how it's done and so on. But the other aspect of it is in a more of a manufacturing capacity, wherein a manufacturer says, I have, in a B2B scenario, I have sold my product to another provider, another vendor, who's then sold it to a whole bunch of other providers. And this happened in one of our recent customer situations, which was Motorola, where they said, hey, I have an entire network of vendors and providers and authorized service providers, but I don't have visibility beyond them. I need to know who my end customer is and what their issues are. So this vendor, Motorola, wanted to regain the customer relationship from the end customer. and was kind of wanting the partner to be kept in the loop, wanted the partner to have visibility into what Motorola was seeing about the end customer, but at the same time wanted to interact with the end customer directly themselves. I know I kind of gave two really broad answers, not sure which worked for you, but hopefully it did.
Well, thanks everyone. That pretty much concludes today's webinar. Thanks again to all of you who were able to join us. And if we weren't able to answer your question, we will respond directly back to you. Just a final reminder that we will be sending you the webinar video, and it will also be made available on the field service website as well as the ServiceMax website. Hope to see you next time. Thanks everyone.